Hello, Programming 12. We're going to be adding in the textured cubes now into our 3D environment. Here's our 3D environment right now. It's kind of sad. It's just some big boxes. And it's going to get prettier, but it'll take a bit of doing. So these are just kind of the default boxes. And yeah, so we're gonna replace these with the cubes. And this will be kind of interesting. I think there'll be a bunch of interesting changes for us to make. Just to let you know, I have already done this work. I've copied and pasted the textured cube functions from the whatever the name of the project was we did earlier, where we just made those plain old textured cubes kind of spinning around in empty space. So I have those functions here. I have the textured cube function that just takes one texture. I've copied that over, and I also have, excuse me, textured cube function that takes 3 parameters so that I can make sort of different tops and sides and things. So that's the story with what I've done. I put it into a separate tab because otherwise, like actually already our main tab is getting very full, and it might be worthwhile to even organize that more. But at least I can put this big textured cube function in a separate tab. And we'll think about more organization later on. I'll also mention that I've loaded in a texture. So I have p-image. I'm using the Mossy Stone texture. I got that from the Minecraft Gamepedia. I forget what the site is, but I'll link that onto Teams if you want to just get that off of Teams. That's what the texture looks like. I have another one, the oak plank texture that we can put in there as well on Teams for you. Or you can just choose your own. You know, you're definitely welcome to shake it up and do some interesting things. So anyways, I've got this Mossy Stone, and in my setup, I don't think I've loaded it yet. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to load that file, and I'm going to turn on texture mode to normal. This is really important not to miss. And I bet someone out there will be listening to me at 2 times speed or something, and then we might avoid this. Make sure you add this in. So to load the texture is not a big deal. You just say whatever your name of your p-image is, Mossy Stone equals load image, and you just give it the name. I don't remember what it is, so I press Control K. I'm just gonna like copy and paste that right there. Mossy _ stone _ bricks .png, and you put that in quotes, of course, because it's a string, and we can load that picture. Next is what I made a mistake on, which is why I am trying to like tell you avoid this mistake, is the texture mode. Is texture mode normal. So that will be what makes it so that when in our textured cube function, when we use these numbers as 0s and 1s, it will represent the whole length. Like a 1 represents the whole way along that particular axis, X or Y. So otherwise I have to put in the exact coordinates in the 2-dimensional texture picture. I put like 160 or something like in place of 1s. So yeah, that's the reason we have to do that. If you don't, it'll literally look at only from 0 pixel to 1. So just looking at the corner pixel, and all your blocks will turn out to be a single color, whatever that color turned out to be. So that will solve that problem. All right, so we're good to go. Now we're going to scroll down, and we're going to take a look at, let's scroll down to our draw map function. I think we'll start here. We'll leave draw floor alone, but later on we'll replace that as well, actually. But in this video, we'll just work on the draw map function. And what I'd like to do is replace the code for drawing those like generic boxes with the textured cube. And that actually will make the code a little simpler, because our textured cube, it already does the translate, it already does the scale. You know, it's going to be pretty easy to put this in. Maybe even easier than the box. And I'm kind of hesitating, like, maybe next year I teach this, I'll avoid the box. It also has the push matrix and pop matrix. So here it is. Here's my draw map function. Oh, I should turn up the size to make sure everyone can see. Maybe not all the way. I'll go to 24. Okay, so here is draw map, and you know, basically we're reading in that PNG. And we're looking at the rows and columns, and we're using these numbers, the X and Y, to read the pixels, read the colors of the pixels. And we're taking a look, in particular, for pixels that aren't white. The white pixels were representing empty space. And so right now, I just have any pixel that's not white is drawn as a particular box. This is what I have. I think that's a little bit different than what it was before. I don't remember. No, I think that's what we had in the last video. So that's fine. And then we're sort of making a box based on this color from whatever it is in the map. So we're going to get rid of this stuff here. All this stuff here is going to go bye-bye. There it is. The rest of the structure is good. This structure here, this nested loop, is what drives us through the map. And we do want to see if there's any non-white pixels, because that indicates we have to draw a block there. But we're not going to use box anymore. We're going to use our textured cube function. And that's great because it translates. So we just have to say, where is it? And we have to say what texture and how big. So that's going to be pretty nice. So let's see. I guess we're going to want to have, do we already have a grid size variable? Let me check and see. We do, don't we? No, I guess we don't. So we're going to have to choose sort of our, oh no, we do. We have grid size here. Great, so that's good. That's probably set to 100, right? Yeah, grid size is 100. So we're going to choose that to be our size of our blocks. It'll be too small at first, but don't worry, we'll layer a bunch on top. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a textured cube at this point. Textured cube. Don't have to push pop matrix, it's already done in textured cube. I'd like to stick it in our world, and where I'd like to put it is not actually at 0, 0. If I put like, and I can't just put an X, some number, I can't just put an X, Y, Z. These X and Y's go up by 1. But when we draw it in the world, we want to draw it at, actual world coordinates. So they're not at pixel coordinate 1, 2, 3, 4 like it is in our PNG. It's going to be at 0, 100, 200. So we're actually going to times this by 100 here. Actually, no, we're going to times it by grid size, to be honest, because then we can renumber our grid. And then this actually, why isn't this Y? These Y's are different. Why, you might ask? Sorry, I couldn't resist. That is actually the height. That's ignored in our floor plan. If you look at our floor plan, this image ignores height. It's all about X and Z. So the Y coordinate of our image is telling us the Z coordinate of our 3D space. So this is actually Y. And height is just wherever you want to draw the base of the cube. So we're going to put those at the bottom where our floor is. So I'm going to put this at height. This actually is not quite correct. Also, Y needs to be multiplied by grid size. But that's a good start. And then the texture I'm going to use is the Mossy Stone. Oops, clicked on something wrong. Mossy Stone. And then the size of this is grid size. So I kind of know this isn't going to work correctly, but I just want to see, do I see, grid size, sized cubes? And do I see like 100 by 100 by 100 cubes? Do I see them sort of in the right pattern, in the right place? And we'll see what these numbers, if they're correct. So let's run it. And I know it'll be wrong, but I want you to see why it's wrong in order to understand these numbers. It's going to run, hopefully. Okay, so we got some stones, but do you see what happened? This is the right pattern. Oh, sorry. Should probably fix that. Yeah, I'll calibrate it a bit better. You can see we got the right pattern. That's what the floor plan looks like, but it's not centered. But that's because X and Y start at 0, 0, right? That's 0, 0. The center is 0, 0. So there's a bunch of things we could do to solve this problem. We could draw our floor differently, would be one solution. Or we can change the start point and end point of where we draw our floor. Our walls. So it's sort of up to you to decide that. I'm going to choose right now, I'm just going to shift these blocks so that we start where the floor starts. But there's no reason we couldn't just move the floor where it starts too. So I'll leave it up to you to decide. I kind of want to spawn in 0, 0, but you know, it's fine. So here's how I'm going to do it. I noticed my floor starts at minus 2,000, and minus 2,000, minus 2,000. So I'd like to shift my starting brick there. So what I can do is just subtract inside of my draw map function. Here's textured cube. I can just subtract 2,000 to make it start over there from both x and y. So watch what happens. I run this, and oh, yikes. So now you can see that that floor pattern matches my floor. There's a couple other weird things though. I mean, it's nice. It matches the grid perfectly, right? Perfectly lines up. But do you notice that it's underneath the floor? This is where I think I might regret having drawn the vertex starting at the top. I kind of regret that now. I probably should have drawn it from the bottom corner. But no big deal. We can just draw it at a slightly smaller height, like raise it up basically. So I can minus grid size from the height. That'll move it up by 100 pixels or whatever grid size is. So just wait for it, wait for it. Okay, here we go. Hey, look, it's on top now. So we're making progress. We're getting there. I think it's looking pretty good. You notice it's like a one high wall though. That's not so good. I mean, this texture looks best when you have like a bunch stacked on top. So it's not bad, but I would like to add that so that we have a few stacked on top of each other. Real easy to do. You can make it a loop, or you could just do 3 textured cubes. I'm just going to do that because it's convenient. I'm going to, did I screw up my braces? No, it just is. Okay, so here we go. Just make 2 more textured cubes, but stack them on top of each other. So this is minus grid size. For the second one, I'll just do grid minus double grid size, minus 200. And then the next one up, I'll do 300 times grid size by 3. So we'll get a 3 high stack for our wall. And I think it'll look pretty good. So check it out. There's our wall. Yes. Actually looks decent. So we still got a ways to go, but you might notice in the final product of this set of videos, it looked like I was more like inside the room. This kind of looks like this is a tiny room that I'm standing on top of. So in the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the location of the camera. I'm actually going to make the camera go down to the bottom. Not the very bottom, but just lower it. And from that perspective, the walls will just look bigger based on what the perspective is. If we're way up here, we look like we're tall. If we lower it down, we'll look like we're shorter and that the room is bigger. Also, I'll bring the ceiling down, and then in a third video, we'll replace the ceiling and the floor with some kind of texture. And then in the final video, we'll do lighting, and that's going to look really sweet when we're all done. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll get back to you for the next step. Bye.